Alright, so part 2 is adding the code for these buttons. Memory plus, recall, and memory minus. For that, we're going to need some storage. Think of it like we're going to add a little flash drive or a thumb drive to our device to store things in it. But we're using the internal memory of the device. In this case, it's a tiny database. Tiny database. Click, drag, drop. There it is. So it's tiny database number 1. There it is. Code blocks for these. I'm going to need when memory store is clicked. I'm going to need when memory recall is clicked. And again, I like to do the long clicks for the clears and the resets just because you won't want an accidental click. So those 3. Alright, so store clicked. It's going to so it's going to call database to store a value. Call store value. So when I click the store button, it's going to say, hey, database, I'm going to store some data here. Okay. This tag is whatever you name it as. On a computer, you go file save, type in a name, that's the name. And I'll just call this here best time. So it's going to tag that file or number as best time. And what's it going to store? It's going to store whatever on that label. So I'm going to go to my label. It's going to store whatever on that label this year. So click store. It'll take the stopwatch time, which is whatever it is at the current value. There it is. Wait, that's the wrong code block. It's going to set the value as that label. It's the text, but it's the, I'll find it. It's not with, not visible. There it is, stopwatch time text. So whatever is on that, on the label as text, they'll store it as that. So memory store stores the value. I'm calling it best time. It's going to take whatever time is on that label and store it. The recall button, it does some more stuff too. It's going to set that label to whatever this is. So that memory recall, it's going to set stopwatch timer text to whatever is on that database. So it takes the label, sets it to, it's going to call the database, get the value. It's going to get this value called tag and store it. If there's no time there, I'm just going to put the word empty. That way I'll know that, hey, there's no time in the storage box yet, so it won't have anything to display. So this is going to store it. You won't see it yet. Recall should show that. I'm going to pause, test it out, be right back. Alright, that's working. I'm going to just do one quick test here too now. So my start button works, stop button works, my counter works, my storage button works, my recall button works, now my memory clear. This has to set this back to 0 again. So my database needs to not clear the tag. If I do clear all, that might do it. Let me test it out here real quick. I'll start it, stop it, store a time, clear it out, recall a time, clear it out. And then we'll, okay. It's working. Just that it's not showing. So this stores it internally, mentally. This displays it, setting the stopwatch text, the label text to that. But this just clears it. I also want to show it. So I want to set the stopwatch time text to, once I clear it, I want it to have that same text string as this here, empty. Duplicate it. Now I'll start my stopwatch, stop the stopwatch, store the time, reset it, recall it, clear it. Okay, it's working. My text is a bit too big, so that's under my design view. Make this label text, it's a bit big. Just try 100. Recall. Still too big. 90. Still too big. 80. I'm trying out my string of the word empty. Now it's working. Empty. Okay, that should do it. That should do all my blocks. So again, let's look at it clear. This is my timer variable. Begins at 0. My start button tells the clock to go to true. Stop button tells the clock go to false. When the timer is asked to do its thing, here's how it counts. Here's what it displays. This is my resetting of my time. Takes the time, whatever it's at, zeroes it out, makes the stopwatch text show the word ready. Memory store. This, when I click it, it says, hey, store the value on the label and call it the file name of best time. This one here recalls that. It takes the label of the stopwatch and brings back whatever in that file called best time. If it's an empty file, empty appears. And then my clear button, a long click, it takes the database, clears everything out of it, and brings back the label called empty. That is part 2 of this video.